Okay.
And
I saw
here
your
we are.
soul leave your eyes for a second there.
Who?
With
Me?
you.
Me?
Yeah,
Just now?
just now. Let's do the Super Pets review. Hold on a
Okay.
second. Okay, good movie. Funny movie. A lot of performances. I wouldn't even call them performances. There was a lot of good comedy, good writing in the movie. Good animation. It's not, Pixar. It's not Illumination. This was DC getting into the animated movie game, and they did a good job. Animation was fine. Characters were fun. But again, if you saw it in 4DX, you got abused. I believe
Well, like, it was still fun.
it was.
I feel like I laughed a lot more at the movie because of the 4D, despite getting sick and then having to sit out for a while. I came back refreshed, and I think it would have been fun the 4D if they just kept it to the action scenes as opposed to every little movement. It was just really odd to have somebody move their eyes or something, like do that, and your whole
Your
body
whole
is just
chair
like,
moves this way,
yeah,
and or if somebody falls, you get hit in the back of
punched
the
in the back.
head.
Yeah, that was really
Or and
uncomfortable.
anytime there's a flash of electricity or lightning or something, there's a little light in the corner of the theater that blinks, and it just looks like something's going wrong in the theater.
Yeah, that's what I thought at first. I was like, oh, a light went out.
Then they
Okay.
yeah, and it's like, oh, but it keeps going out, and then you realize,
Yeah.
oh, there's a little correlation, and then there's smoke, and the smoke is rising. It's like, I don't the seats are shake. If you didn't know that it was a 4DX movie, you just think that it was an earthquake and that the theater was imploding.
I think the highlight was when we first sat down and we all looked at our seats because we thought they were adjustable seats that you could sit back in.
That was
And there
probably the
was
biggest disappointment.
and there was an option for water or no water, and you could turn it off or on. And we were just messing around with each other's buttons, like,
I
fine,
didn't
no
know what
water
that
for
button
you.
meant
I
either.
well, that you'll learn later on. It
Yeah,
means you're gonna
they're
get
gonna
sprayed
spray it
with
with water.
water if you so
There's an
choose.
option for no. I'm sorry. That's just
And that's the only one you can choose to opt out of.
Yeah, you can't.
Not getting punched in the back, not getting like tossed around or anything.
Yeah, and
so
they
the
group
only
you in
the only 4D
sections of
experience of
four.
the that I've ever had is like it was some kind of a theme park or something, and it was like have you seen Bean the movie, the Mr. Bean, the first Mr. Bean
No.
movie?
Oh
Yeah,
yes, I love that movie. Yeah.
like when he goes to a theme park and then he's like, oh my god, this thing is not like high enough or whatever the setting, and then he goes and plays around with the
Yeah.
back, and then like all of a sudden
I
the
do.
seats are chucking people off and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's what I always imagined 4DX would be like to take to an extreme. And then when I went to one of those, it was kind of like that. Like the whole chair would move, and obviously you'd feel
Yeah.
the overall. Like they had stuff that you would be feel like you could smell things and all that. But I've only done that a couple of times, and I haven't done that in years.
Here's the
So
thing. It's like every 3 or 4 seconds, there's something else that's going, hey, stop paying attention to the movie. And it's like, no, I'm
Yeah.
trying to pay attention to the movie. It takes you out of it
Yeah.
every
And I
chance.
was
And
yeah.
then you get these scenes where it's like, no, wait, hold on, this is important. And then there's nothing, and you're like, kind of on edge. It's like, okay, can I pay attention to
Yeah,
the
you're
movie?
anticipating.
And then you're like, okay, I'm gonna get a couple details, and then Crypto moves his head a little bit, and you go, ah!
Yeah. I was
what
very concerned for the children in this because I felt like I was gonna go flying out of my chair. Oftentimes I'd have to like re-sit back up because I was slowly getting knocked out of it.
Yeah, I mean, by
wait, do
the
you
end,
have
I
seatbelts?
was laughing so
No
hard, but
seatbelts.
it wasn't even the movie that was making me
Yeah,
laugh.
I
I
know
was
I
laughing
couldn't
at my
stop.
own situation. I was like, I didn't know that it was gonna happen to me, and it was hard. It was really
Yeah.
hard.
So I'm sorry. So this sounds more like an amusement park ride than a movie theater experience. Is that?
Yeah, and
It
if you're
kind of
not
was.
expecting it, which none of us were, it can be really unpleasant.
But you know what?
That's
It
insane.
shows how good of a movie it was because despite all that, I still really enjoyed the movie.
That's
Like,
true. That's true. No,
because
it was
that
Okay.
that experience could have ruined a movie, and if it was just an okay movie, I would not have cared.
Yeah, like if I had seen Lightyear in this, I would have asked for my money back.
Okay,
They
so
really, they should
so
pay you
so
to sit in 4DX.
so what you're saying, it's better than 3D, but it's not. Is it better than you? Would you say it's a better
You
experience
know
than
what?
watching?
I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I'm gonna make a proclamation. Film is a two-dimensional medium. Keep it that way.
Fair enough. I mean, that's how they did it for like 65 years or so before we started to experiment with all this
Nothing.
crazy stuff.
Nobody has ever added another dimension to film. Yeah, I remember Rugrats a long time ago. The
yeah.
Rugrats and Wild Thornberry movie. They had a scratch and sniff card that you could go to Burger King, buy your toy from your meal, and get the scratch and sniff card, and you'd go to the movie and they'd be like, they put up a number and you'd scratch it and you'd. Oh, it smells like bubble gum. The movie is better. No, it was not.
Actually, that was another thing too, because Dan, you said 4D is usually like there's an experience where you'll have smells and stuff. They didn't. I don't think they did that, but I left the theater at one point, came back, and I noticed the theater just smelled weird in general.
Yeah. Oh, and then the swelling of the air conditioning when like somebody's flying and it's like
Oh,
it's just cold. It's just too cold in here. It was.
Okay,
there were
so
so many weird things.
I can imagine that wouldn't be fun, especially if you were chugging on like a extra large soda or something. And you're just like, if I can hold it long enough, I can get to the movie, but then you get the wisp of air and you're like, nope, gotta go now. Like,
Dan, I
don't
really
care.
went through something this week.
Uh, okay, so all of that aside, what did
Yeah,
you guys, I mean, you said you liked the movie, but I guess
I
what I'm trying
did.
to ask is, what was good? Give me like a quick review of like what was this, because I haven't seen it yet. And what I'm
Yeah, sure.
hearing is a lot better than what some people expected it to be. So it's
For
surprising
sure.
people. So tell me.
For sure. You know, it's this is a property that's existed for a while. It's canon in certain universes of the DC universe. Superman had a dog from his home planet named Krypto after Krypton, and they in some universes they live together or are reconnected when he travels out into another universe and brings him back. And so it's a dog with all of Superman's superpowers who does his own missions, usually with other super animals. And so in this line of narrative, Batman has a dog, Wonder Woman has a pig. These are all things that they establish in this movie, which could act as kind of a bouncing off point for a series or a lot of other movies. But this was Super Dog, and then Lex Luthor's experiment leading to a bunch of other animals getting superpowers. You add an all-star cast, a lot of really good comedy writers, some good casting. It was a fun ride. It was a fun ride, and they pull a couple comedy techniques that you wouldn't expect that make it fun for adults, and kids are gonna enjoy it too. It was a good time.
Yeah, and I found that I enjoyed it so much more than any superhero movie that I've seen in the past year
Absolutely.
because it didn't have the pressure of impressing any current fans.
Yeah.
So the humor, I was laughing so hard genuinely
That's
because
a
it
great
just was
point.
so laid back.
You know, that's the thing is, and I've been saying that maybe we'll talk about this more when we talk about DC, but I've always thought that if Marvel is going to take itself that seriously, the original Batman should go back to being a little more
Like
lighthearted.
campy.
Yeah, like we don't need two Marvels. It would be pretty cool to have one superhero property lean into being like hey, they're superheroes. Nobody's taking this that seriously. I would enjoy the low pressure, low stakes, good
Well,
old
that's
fashioned superhero stuff.
That's weird that you say that though, because I feel like Marvel's going in the direction of making their stuff. Everything is kind of funny now, a little too much sometimes.
Well,
And
but the stakes are always super high, right?
this,
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, so okay, so what you're sort of maybe referencing is this movie felt more like the Lego Batman movie did, which they got free
Yeah.
reign to do whatever they wanted as long as it was a fun film. And that was also one of those movies where I'm pretty sure people went in and they were like, I don't know what to expect, but it was like a fantastic movie. And I think you're saying, from the looks of it, that's kind of what this movie was. It's not trying to take itself seriously. It's just you're just having a good
Yeah.
time.
And, Marvel has a tendency to take itself seriously as a brand, also. Like, we can look
Yeah.
at how they release things and how they treat casting and the messages of their movies. If one of these brands could just be like, hey, they're superheroes, don't read too much into it. It's a good guy and a bad guy, and we had some fun with a fight. And maybe you can learn something about it from it, but
Right.
it doesn't need to be social commentary or these big lofty ideas or heavy sci-fi that's really, scientifically on point and cutting edge. Like, just entertain.
Yeah. Oh,
Dan, we
dang.
lost you.
Yeah.
I keep doing this to myself. Okay, what I was gonna say is what you're saying. Okay, I'm repeating myself now. What you're saying is this is a movie that you would recommend people go watch.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah,
It was
definitely.
just not in 4D.
I mean, but despite that, even with the 4D, as hard as that was, I still enjoyed the movie. So
That's
that
for
tells
sure.
you, for me at least, how good I thought it was.
Yeah,
So
despite the theater doing everything it could to, ruin your experience, the
yeah, to
movie.
make me want to throw
Yeah.
up.
Yeah. I thought
Okay.
it was a
Great.
miracle that the chairs in the ceiling didn't have teeth that started crunching on us. That's how I felt.
Maybe if you
Anyway,
went to watch Jurassic World Dominion, you would have
Oh,
had that contraption
that movie made me
installed.
sick without 4D. That was just
Okay. All right. Okay. So, okay, I'm gonna probably check it out, maybe, but it looks like it's a good time at the theater. So, you guys have convinced me, let's say, to watch it.
well, good.
Or hopefully, if you're watching and you're interested, go see it.